Warm welcome to you. Warm welcome to all the attendees. Thank you very much for coming in. And I request Dr. Shrey to just wave to greet all the attendees. The
Hello.
numbers are increasing as we start the onboarding process. So today we will be discussing about dental entrepreneurship and financial planning. Oh, what an interesting and important topic. So greetings from Group Pharmaceuticals who is collaborating with this event. There is a very popular and a famous principal, Dr. H.G. Shivkumar, who is very successful, and he has a very interesting statement. He says, "The art of administration is seeing the end at the beginning." Very interesting. What it means is that you need to be outcome centric, and that's exactly what entrepreneurship is all about. Entrepreneurship is the ability and the readiness to develop, organize, and run a business enterprise along with all its uncertainties. And normally, any entrepreneurship, if it has to be strictly defined as an entrepreneurship, there should be a novelty in the business plan. So normally entrepreneurs will see the various trendings. Like for example, the political trending today. Today, global is trending. People don't want just the local issue, but they want to ensure that everything is global. And today, economic aspects are also in a very different manner. Expansion plans are not significant. Fund flows are being planned. Capital expansion has slowed down. In the social aspects, lot of interesting things have happened thanks to the digital technology. People who would not think about ordering food have started ordering various provisions, food, and different things. Digital social life has picked up, and technological changes are so many today that the antivirus products has become the vanguard. In fact, we just saw about the Instacoat and the product which Dr. Shrey has just developed. We saw that interesting video about how the wipe has become a big product thanks to the antiviral capacity of that wipe to keep the entire clinic scenario very safe. Similarly, an antiviral product like FabiFlu has taken over even the Zincovid Dolo tablets and become the number one, particularly in the month of April 2021. Today, that drug called Favipiravir has, through the brand of FabiFlu, made 975 crores in 1 year. That is the amount of sales that one brand has made, all because of the trending of antiviral products. Indians have spent 15,000 crores on immune boosters in a year. That is an amazing, dazzling sum. So you can understand how the various trendings are taking place and entrepreneurs are cashing on these trendings. Yes, the environment is also changing. Earlier, we used to not bother about the closed spaces or the contact, but today we are avoiding the crowded places, and workplaces are now deep sanitized, so which means there is a very big market for disinfection, and that is going to trend for a long time to come. So these are the interesting traits which we observe in entrepreneurs, including well-established dental entrepreneurs and dentists to Dr. Shrey. So one is they have got that challenging activity. They take up very bold decisions. They also have got the knowledge to take calculated risks. They are fast learners and they have got that gung-ho attitude. So they take the ups and downs through a learning attitude. They're very good team players and excellent in also crisis management, because entrepreneurship is not going to be a red carpet. There are going to be a lot of bumps. And many of them, or you should say all of them, are not only idealistic but very realistic. They are prompt and proactive, not procrastinators, and you will never find them lazy. They are always a bundle of energy. So that is what is Dr. Shrey Dhawan today, whom we are featuring. And he is a cosmetic dentist, a lecturer, entrepreneur who has got several caps to wear. And he is also a Bob Dylan fan. And now why I represent Bob Dylan is that many of the entrepreneurs like Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan himself was a very cult and a very experimental figure. And he even won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 2016. He wrote at least 500 songs which have been recorded by more than 2,000 artists and performed all over the world. And he set a standard of lyric writing. So the experimentation itself is seen in Bob Dylan, and that appeals to many entrepreneurs. Dr. Shrey Dhawan has got a very good connection with Karnataka. He studied at Manipal University. His BDS was with flying colors. He's a gold medalist in BDS, and he did his MDS in endodontics. Tremendous energy and tremendous focus. And yes, there should be something special in Manipal, isn't it? Because you even have people like Satya Nadella, who is now heading Microsoft with his Manipal roots. So probably entrepreneurship is there in that Manipal atmosphere. Along with this entrepreneurial thinking, Dr. Shrey Dhawan has done his PG diploma in laser dentistry from the International Academy of Laser Dentistry, and also a certificate program for oral implantology. Dr. Shrey Dhawan describes himself as a specialist in smile design, restorative dentistry, endodontics and microscopy, crown selection and planning, profitability and dentistry. Now that's going to be the interesting, appealing part in today's context, the digital marketing technology in healthcare, and also he has got a fancy for artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now talk of eclectic attitude. That's tremendous, isn't it? Dr. Shrey Dhawan is the director of Ashray Green Dental Clinics. It's a full-fledged hospital-based chain, and you can see the branding touch there. Everything is green. He likes to be an eco-friendly person. He is the head of R&D at 3R Scientific Covicoat. This is an interesting product which has got not only antibacterial and antifungal property, but also antiviral. And you get 100 days of self-disinfection with this Covicoat. So Covicoat is one interesting formulation in which he has pioneered. He is also the co-founder of Finish Line. Finish Line is the world's first peer-reviewed dental lab aggregator platform that gives labs the opportunity to gain traction, build reputation, and bridge the gap between dentists and high-quality dental labs across borders. And yes, he is also active as a CTO with GeoXP. Now that is when you are on the go, you want to learn something, well, this is the first app-based complete clinical dentistry experience. So this is an online platform for managing the data associated with tutoring classes in very efficient and transparent manner. So it is very good for detailed performance reports, and you get a lot of on-the-go solutions for the parents about their wards, class details, and so on. So it is tremendous. And what is very fascinating about Dr. Shrey is that he is a co-founder with Coin Gurukul Crypto Investments. So he has not left that cutting edge in the business also. So he is now looking into how cryptocurrency, which is taking the financial industry by a storm. So that is Dr. Shrey Dhawan to you, looking very smart at his Ashray Green Dental Clinic. He is a well-known speaker and has a fan following of thousands for his yuppie, at the same time, very academic attitude. And here he is seen with this better half. So warm welcome to you all. And yes, the benefit of entrepreneurship, which he is translating, he is ensuring jobs, economic growth, and also the thrill of entrepreneurship is there. And all this helps you smile a lot, isn't it? Well, everybody likes to see smiling children because they smile 400 times a day. Happy people smile 40 to 50 times a day, while average person smiles only 20 times a day. So Group Pharmaceuticals, which is dedicated for healthy smiles, is partnering dentists to create that original smile in everybody. Healthy smiles and laughter through extraordinary products, which are all innovation and R&D based, like Shy XT, Shy NM, the pioneer bioactive glass toothpaste. And if you prefer a fluoridated bioactive glass, this is Elsense. And we have a wonderful toothpaste in Omnident for comprehensive relief to reduce the bacterial and fungal infections. Fresh chlor is trending a lot thanks to the ability of fresh chlor to reduce the viral load. So please understand that the dentist is making life-changing contributions by building your confidence. So consult the dentist. Thank you very much. And now over to Dr. Shrey Dhawan, sir. Warm welcome to you, sir. So the stage is all set for you.
Thank you so much.
So you can share your screen and address the audience.
Yes, absolutely. First of all, before I start, I actually want to say thank you to Group Pharma. That was an absolutely amazing introduction. Many of those projects, like when you're going through life and you're actually doing all of these things, you don't revise, what all you're doing. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you'll see your days turn into nights and your nights turn into days. You don't keep a track of how many hours you've slept, and also that you can someday have such an amazing introduction. Thank you so much, sir. I'm really taken back. That was really nice. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to share the screen. Just give me a second.
Perfect.
All right. All right. So today we're going to talk about dental entrepreneurship and the roads to financial liberation. I'm Dr. Shrey, and pretty much everything about my intro has already been given. So we're going to jump right into it. Right. So I did my undergrad and postgrad from Manipal, and I founded this chain of clinics called Ashrey Green Dental Clinics. We grew from one clinic to three clinics, and we're about to grow to five clinics. It's been about 5 years. And the reason I tell you this is not because I want to just show you that I've done it or that, other people are doing it. The reason why we've been able to do something like this, firstly, again, is the point that Sir had picked upon is teamwork. One of the unique things that we brought to this unique experience was keeping in mind that when a patient comes and meets a doctor, and then they come to that same clinic and that doctor is not there, they kind of feel hesitant to get treated, right? So the solution that I had for that problem was that I made sure that everybody that is associated with us is a Manipal graduate. And that's kind of been one of the secrets to success for us being able to set up such a large number of clinics and manage them despite not being around for many years. So it's that kind of thinking that I hope to inculcate in you through these lectures, right? I was a key opinion leader with Kavokar till last year until they left India and they rebranded with Nobel. I was a scientific consultant as they mentioned earlier, and as of now, I'm working with a project called Saral Kheti, and we'll discuss that later. Right. So let's get one thing out of the window completely. I am an endodontist. Endodontist is the bread and butter of dentistry, and I per se absolutely love dentistry. There's no doubt about it. I love clinical dentistry. I love talking to patients. I like the whole experience that it brings, but that does not mean that I close my eyes and don't open my mind to all the other opportunities that present themselves, because there are a whole lot of opportunities out there in the world. And the whole purpose of this lecture is to get you acquainted with what else you can do. So I'll just give you a small introduction. Ashrey Green Dental is my primary brand, and that's the bread butter, or as we like to call it, the cash cow. That is the cow that sits in the stable and gives me a steady flow of income that I then use to invest in various startups. Some of them, these ones that are displayed here, are all startups that me and my close associates have started ourselves. GoXP Dentistry on app is a clinical education platform, and I'll be talking to you about how you can set up something like that through the course of this lecture. Finish Line is a heavy intensity supply chain logistics software that we have worked upon that lets labs and doctors collaborate. The two that I want to focus on today, right, is Coin Gurukul. Now, Coin Gurukul was started with me and my brother in lockdown when we looked at, a lot of people getting into trading, getting into stock trading and all of that. And we said, let's bring a different flavor to this altogether. And we have been involved with cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin since 2016 and 17. And we've already been managing our portfolios as well as the portfolios of a couple of friends. And now how the entrepreneurial mindset works is that you take a skill that you feel you might be better than a significant population, and you apply that skill and you make it available for others to take advantage of. It is not about trying to think of how I can make money. It is about planning how I can bring value to somebody else. And in exchange for that value, we expect that person to automatically pay something. And that is the value of a startup, right? InstaOT Wipes is another project that we had actually started in 2017, which is well before COVID. And that's just ironical, like how it goes, because we set up a disinfection company in 2017, thinking that India would be very keen on being very safe. And there was a transformation in the Indian healthcare sector. And we went through 2017, we went through 2018, we made a whole lot of losses, we made a whole lot of products, we did a whole lot of marketing, and there was nothing. And then COVID hit in 2019 and 2020, and suddenly all those efforts that we had put in from 2017 till 2019 kind of came into play. And I think we helped several thousands of people out in their time of need of disinfection. And that is the value that a startup, or the power of what a startup can bring. And I urge you to open your mind for the next 45 minutes and try and see how you can make a difference in the world today, right? So in this lecture, we're going to just go through why I think doctors make great entrepreneurs, firstly. understand the natural cycle of clinical dentistry. Like, how is it that clinical dentistry or life as a doctor goes? I'm going to introduce my experience, the experience of my parents who have been doctors, who are doctors as well as compare it relatively with other professions and how they go. Secondly, what is wealth? And do you actually want it and need it? Like, this is a question that you need to answer for yourself if you're going to take something positive back from this session. Also, the main crux of this is going to be great startup options for dentists. Now, after a lot of discussion and introspection with Sir, we decided to keep this really simple, right? Rather than making this a very complex thing and talking about AI and machine learning and algorithms and all of that, and all the cutting edge, scientific facts, we can get into that in a separate lecture that's focused on just startup options. But for the purpose of today's thing, we're just keeping it as basic startup options of things that dentists could do on their side to increase the amount of money that they make or the amount of influence that they bring to society. I'm going to talk about my 3 basic rules of wealth, which I think are so crucial before you start any venture. And then we're going to wrap it up and open it up for a session of question and answers. Are we ready? All right, let's go. So doctors are born entrepreneurs. Now, why I say this is that when you're setting up a clinic, it's basically like a startup seeking seed funding or a bootstrap startup. Seed funding if you're taking out like a loan to rent a place, and bootstrap startup if you're starting up in your existing house by taking one part of your garage or something like that and converting it into a clinic. A dentist or any doctor will learn how to market to its target audience. Now, for you, it might be printing flyers or getting a Google page up, putting up some stuff on Facebook, Insta, and WhatsApp. Now, these are things that every single company needs to do and every startup needs to do. And dentists and doctors already have exposure to that, even after running their clinic for a year or two. And hence, they build up that mindset that I do need to get myself out there. Sales and pricing. Now, procedures and prices, what that we set as clinicians, are based on the averages of your area. We learn how to conduct a little bit of research. We learn how to send our assistants as spies to the neighboring clinic so that you can find out how much they charge. Just the kind of same thing that happens in the real industry. How Maruti will send some engineers over to Hyundai to try and see how they're managing their sales and all of that. So that is kind of a thing that we do as well. Then inventory management with your consumables, supply chain logistics, just like crowns and lab work. HR aspects is like you hiring dentists and assistants and dealing with their leaves and all of those things. Customer relations is you handling your feedback and reviews. Also, overall, we learn to take steps to increase your profitability without compromising quality. These are very important things that you learn when you start a business, and that is exactly what dentists already do. Like, we shop at conferences, we pick the impression material that is, got the right amount of expiry, that's got the right amount of requirements. We pick the features that we need for our target audience and things like that. Also, we seek to scale slowly. And why I've highlighted slowly is because that is the one painful thing about dentistry and about healthcare that the entire lecture is based on. We expand from a single chair clinic to a multi-chair clinic to a chain of clinics. But when we look at the graph, which we will on the next slide, and how it grows, you will see that a dental practice starts off at the lag phase. Just like bacterial growth, we've all studied microbiology. In the lag phase, we will spend money to repay our loans, get a return on investment on our equipments and stuff. Then the fun part of practice starts. That's when you start getting new cases. You start doing your first few implants. Then you do your first 100 implants. Then you do your first 500 implants. And that's in that exponential phase where you start having fun about it. Then you come to that transitional phase, you start to plateau. That plateau part and how high it goes and how much money you make in that really depends on your city. It depends on your area within that city. It depends on your qualifications and your skills. And for me, this is where it kind of gets a little bit monotonous, is as time goes on, you develop back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain. You start getting exhausted with time. You start feeling like, okay, I'm going to go to work again and just do another root canal. I'm going to find 3 canals in this molar. Sometimes I'll start 4. And eventually what will happen is every time you find 4 canals or a mesiobuccal 2 or anything like that, you're going to stop getting excited about it. You're going to slowly. So that kind of fatigue kind of happens. And the number one reason for dentists to retire early is actually work-related musculoskeletal disorders, such as back, neck, and shoulder. So these are things that kind of bother me for a long period of time. And that is why I urge everybody to also look at entrepreneurial activities on the side. So open your mind up to possibilities. And let's talk about a couple of possibilities right now. So let us think about it. What is wealth? A wealth is basically a situation where you increasingly get to do exactly what you want to do. It's like if you watch, Ragnarok season one, and you see all of those beautiful scenes of Norway, and if your girlfriend or your wife is like, "Hey, let's go to Norway," your answer should not be, "Oh no, 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 I can't afford to at all. Like I don't have the time to, or I don't have the money to, or I'll have to, how will I take leave?" Not being able to do what you want to do when you feel like it, that is the absence of wealth. And being able to do it, whether it is financially, being available to do it, being able to set up your business in a way that it allows you to take time off, for me, that is the definition of wealth. What you need to decide is it for you? The choice is absolutely yours. I know people who have lived their entire lives, 35 years of career, not being able to decide for themselves which day they feel like taking off, what they feel like wearing to work, and that's fine. It's just I choose not to fall into that category, and you can too. Wealth is about everything being affordable. It's about you being in control of your happiness. It's about you being able to have time to experience everything. And it's about you being able to enjoy everything while you still have it. Oh, 1 second. Right? So then let's talk about why All right. So why should you bother with entrepreneurship at all? Is it right for you? Now, I'm going to summarize it all up. Dentistry basically gives rise to a linear growth curve. You have a growth curve that slowly grows, and you reach a certain level. And there's no doubt, there's a lot of money to be made in dentistry, and people do make it big. I know people that are doing over 12 lakhs a month. But what's really important is, do they have all those other factors in their lives like we have discussed? Do they have the time? Do they have the ability to take time off? Secondly, dentistry is all about one city for life, because as you move away from that place, you lose your clients and it affects you. Secondly, honestly, 10 crore by the age of 50, for me, it feels a little bit too late. I would much rather be a guy who has 2 crore in my bank account by the age of 32 or 33 than to have 10 crore in my bank account by the age of 50. And if I need to work extra hard in order to make it happen, I know it'll be worth it, because this is the age where I can enjoy it, right? Also, for the younger ones of you, the most right swipe job description on Tinder was entrepreneur in the year 2018, 2019, and even 2020. All right, dentist entrepreneurs, here are some ideas that you can adopt. Okay, the number one idea, and I urge this for absolutely everybody, is the simplest thing, and this has got very little to do with that this lecture has been organized by Group Pharma, is start an in-house pharmacy. Now, I'll give you an actual real life example. My mom, dad are eye specialists, skin specialists, and we have a dental clinic, and my wife handles facial cosmetics as well as implantology. In our in-house pharmacy, the amount of revenue that is generated just from the sale of dental and eye medicines, every single salary of everybody that works for us, and that is 11 staff members, is completely free. There is enough revenue from the 40% profit margin given to us by the sale of these medicines, completely free. And this is excluding the cosmetic sale that happens because of the dermatology practice that my mother has. What my mother has as a dermatology practice is about 4 times that of the salaries of everybody combined. So an in-house pharmacy is an extremely lucrative business, and you have to look at it from the patient side. It is very convenient to the patient. They feel a lot of trust being able to pick up genuine medicines right from a doctor, and it gives them an option to get whatever you prescribe, because there's a lot of issues about brands, and you write something and they won't get it at one chemist, and that chemist will sometimes say like, what kind of doctor writes this, and says things like that. So don't let your reputation get damaged by that. Build up a steady revenue over time with little or no effort at all, right? The financial aspects of it are that an in-house pharmacy, usually you get some credit. So you buy some medicines and you keep them with you. The company will give you like 10 or 15 days credit, and you'll be able to sell those medicines within those 15 days. So essentially, if you're smart about it, this entire startup of an in-house pharmacy could have absolutely zero investment. There are comfortable margins. They range differently with different brands and different companies, but they go all the way from 10% to 50 or 60% on certain medicines. The only cost that you may have is to hire somebody to actually sit on that pharmacy. But what I've done is I've included it in the scope of work for my assistant and just increased her salary and had her manage it now. So you can expect, sorry, you can expect it to pay for all the salaries of the staff. As a dentist, you will be looking not just to have toothpaste, mouthwash, painkillers, and antibiotics. If you're smart about it, you might want to add products like interproximal brushes, water flossers, multivitamins, curcumin, antioxidants, as well as healthcare stuff like proteins, things that you can give along with your implants. And with these things, the margins increase a lot, and hence an in-house pharmacy is something that you just must do. Second, now I had a lot of pressure from people to talk about this for a long time now. It's been almost a couple of months that people have been asking me to, talk about social media influencers and how they build influence. Now, there are two types of social media influencers. Right now, if you look at, young dental influencers, they're doing one thing and only one thing. They are helping Instagram get rich. They take 6 weeks to figure out a catchy name. Then they'll ask around their friends, what should I post? How do I get more followers? They'll realize that their posts are not working. The only people that's commenting on them is like Tina Auntie or somebody like that. And because of that, they'll start making reels. And their assumption is that people are going to watch these reels and they'll go viral. And this isn't working. So then they start promoting their posts and they basically just help Instagram get rich. So what you need to, so basically for something like this, it only works if you're extremely attractive or if you're extremely funny. Otherwise, don't get into this without want to get into this. If you are thinking that you have the build to become a dental influencer, then this is how you do it. Dental influencers have two paths to success, right? Either you are promoting your own clinic or you are wasting your time, right? If you are talking to patients, right? If you are giving out information like how to brush, how to floss, how to take care of an implant, what it feels like to be numb, anesthesia, videos like that, then you better be promoting your own clinic or somebody should be paying you directly to promote their clinic. You may get famous and you might be able to endorse a toothpaste or a mouthwash or some mint or something once in a while, but otherwise there's absolutely no way to do it. But if you do plan to make money from this, then I highly recommend you check out Dr. Girish Lakiani, the punny dentist. He's got a podcast on Spotify and I've been following him for like over a year. And what he has done is he has used a nice platform where he talks about social media and Instagram, and he has set up a marketing agency. In order to set up that marketing agency, the investment would be anywhere between 5 and 10 lakhs, and the 5-year potential of something like that could be above 50 lakhs to 2 crore rupees per year. But we are talking about taking your information as a dental influencer and talking to patients and showing brands that you are the right person for them to use to market to patients. So for example, if Group Pharma decided to engage me to promote LSENS to the general public, and I was to handle all of their social media, then I would be making a lot more money. But if I think that random pictures of me teaching little children how to brush and stuff, just as a random individual, unless I'm doing it in a very attractive way or I'm extremely funny, it's very unlikely that that aspect gives you any return unless you have your own clinic, in which case it's a totally different thing. A single patient reaches your clinic for an implant and you've made your entire worth in that patient itself. Now, the second way in which dental influencers can work is to create a community like platforms like Endo Haveli or Implant Haveli, things like that. These dental influencer paths that actually sell to doctors have a totally different potential. There are numerous items that are very high value, like physio dispensers, bone grafts, implants, endodontic files, consumables. Creating a platform like this that becomes popular and becomes a source for doctors to be able to find reliable information gives you a lot of leverage. Platforms like Endo Haveli make way more than this 50 lakhs a year mentioned here. But if you start something, like now that it's already been done, if you start something similar, maybe like in tobacco cessation as done by Dr. Ankit Jha or by other things like that, you could slowly see a growth in that community. So you would be a dental influencer for a community selling to dentists. That to me makes a lot more sense than just a dental influencer putting up videos that communicate to patients. Have a plan of action. Now, take a look at these guys. I'm not sure if I'm sure you've come across this Milad Sharud. He is insanely good. He's done these series of videos where he's singing songs and he's singing them in a dental way. And even Moise Kakiani, amazing work. They have had direction and they have defined who they want to sell to, right? Moise Kakiani has figured out that he wants to sell to clinical practitioners, and hence he directs all of his efforts to selling to clinical practitioners. If you have a plan of action, then decide and define your audience. Understand how your followers will pay you. And that is really important to understand before you start posting and before you start your entire journey. After you have answered the other questions, only then should you choose what platform to use. You should not be like, okay, I'm good at Instagram and I want to, target grandmothers. So I'm going to target grandmothers on Instagram. That is a bad idea. What you need to figure out is, who do you want to target? Who are you trying to speak to? Are those people going to pay you directly, or is some company going to pay you to market to them, or are you doing this as charity? After you have decided the direction and who is going to pay you and how they are going to pay you, you should choose your platform then. And if that platform is not your expertise, make it your expertise. It doesn't take long to learn how to work with Medium or YouTube or Insta or TikTok or anything for that matter. Sell what people are buying. Don't try and sell what you have available. That's not how it works. Just because I have, a cold coffee, that doesn't mean people want to have cold coffee, right now. That's how you need to think about things. All right. Uh, Actually, an influencer channel can have zero budget, and the potential for some of these guys, they are easily making between 3 and 6 lakhs a month. And you can do that too. I know plenty of influencers making much more money than that. Inside dentistry, there's a lot of potential there if you do it the right way. Another thing that you can do is start a blog or a newsletter or a podcast. Now, you might think that's not too different, like from an influencer to a blog or a newsletter. But the difference is this: these companies like Your Story, a Junior VC, and TechCrunch, now they are $1 million industries. I think Your Story is worth over more than $150 million. A Junior VC is co-founded by one of my cousins, and it's slowly growing. It's doing well. TechCrunch is, of course, a $150 million company, and it covers all of these, technology products that are released. What happens is that by starting a blog or a newsletter, you get to slow down the pace, right? You get to slowly build an audience, and you gain a trusted following. And that trusted following becomes a loyal following that is happy to invite other people, and it is happy to wait for a certain amount of time for your next piece of high quality content to come out. An influencer tends to go with volumes of content, right? Lots and lots of things coming up multiple times a day, engaging with their customers every day. On the other hand, if you do not have that kind of time, then a blog, a newsletter, or a podcast is probably the right way to do. That's why I myself am considering going ahead with a podcast, because I don't have enough time to actually talk to all of you out there on a day-to-day or an hour-to-hour, timeline. With time, if you have a successful blog, newsletter, or podcast, you can invite popular people and upcoming stars in that field to come and engage with people in a way that can sometimes be monetized. If you take a look at the sessions being done by Group Pharma right now, it's an example of exactly this. They are developing a vertical where they are engaging with people. They are slowly building up an audience. There are people who are looking forward to the Saturday afternoon lectures, and they know that the people that come are either popular or they're upcoming and they'll talk about something awesome. In the case of a company, they make profit from it directly. But your dream scenario, if you start off something like this, is that your blog or newsletter gets purchased over by Practo or by JSK or by any company like that. So the pros of doing this over doing just an influencer channel is that hosting ads on your website can be quite profitable if it builds up enough traction. But it requires regular, systematic, and a dynamic approach, because what is popular and what people want to talk about might not always be your strength. So sometimes you do have to do a little bit of research before you can talk about something. Now, the other thing is that starting a blog or a newsletter can be much less hands-on and can be done on the side, right? Rather than just being done like a blog, where if you're just doing a blog, if you're just doing the influencer platform, then it might be sorry, one second. If you're just doing like an influencer platform, then you're kind of hands-on all the time. So the cons are that it takes longer than the influencer path, but it's a lot more solid. The budget to start up a blog or a newsletter basically involves hosting, buying a website. All of that can be done for less than 15,000 rupees. If you want to be fancy about it and have somebody else make your website, 50,000 is more than enough. By the time you reach a huge number of users and the website's paying for yourself, you might be paying 2 or 3 lakhs a year. But the 5-year earning potential on something like this is easily above 25 lakhs to 75 lakhs. And I've seen it happen right in front. Look at your story. Your story came out right now and it has gone absolutely viral. All right. Now, let's get to things that are a little bit more exciting and talk to people that are slightly, maybe senior or have a little bit more financial backing. Think big. Think about starting a company, something that works while you're asleep, because that's where real wealth comes from. One of my favorite things that I'm talking about these days, and I'm actually consulting with several people on this, is starting an aligner company. Aligners are taking dentistry by storm. I mean, just before this lecture, I got a call from an old friend of mine in Bombay who wants to get aligners from Tootsie, and she wants my opinion about what is the plan and whether it's good, right? Now, what happens is around 2 lakh people are getting braces every month in India. And in India, only 1% of that population, that is 2,000 people, are getting aligners right now. The global average is around between 9 and 14%, and the USA is the highest in the country with 17% of braces cases or teeth alignment cases being aligners. Now that tells us how much potential or headroom there is in this industry. Why I have these details is I was hired by a company to actually do these analytics for them. We have a startup incubation company that we run, my brother and a couple of other people, where we help people plan out their entrepreneurial journey, whether they need funding, and I'll come to that later. So basically, this aligner company concept is a highly profitable industry, and it's probably got a huge potential in the future. So whether you are looking, if you have a budget of like anywhere between 50 lakhs and 2 crore, you can absolutely plan to set up an aligner company, hire the right kind of people, plan out your marketing, and I'm sure that within the next 3 to 5 years, you could be doing between 10 and 20 crore rupees a year easily. The cons with regard to a concept like this is the high startup cost, and it is very clinically oriented. So if one of your reasons for getting out of clinical dentistry and getting into entrepreneurship was that you don't like dentistry, then it's going to be a problem, right? Also, this requires a very specialized team. So you'll probably not be the smartest person in the company. There'll probably be a person who's actually, taking care of the machines and actually doing the designing and all of that, unless you're an orthodontist. Another very incredible thing that one of my friends actually has done is start an international education consultancy. There are over 30,000 dental graduates graduating every year, and they're looking for MDS, but there aren't as many seats, or they're looking for options abroad. They're looking for guidance for visa and processes. They're looking for past papers. They're looking for insights. They're looking for advice on how to get loans. Now, all of this helps if you've done it yourself, or if you have an aunt and uncle abroad. But if you set up a consultancy or a Facebook group, and there are plenty of them, but there's still room for a market leader, you could easily set up within 7,000 to 15,000 you could spend on setting up a small company that helps people find opportunities abroad in dentistry or elsewhere if you're just into visas and stuff like that. Another very simple, not simple, but I'll say something that if you have a little bit of budget and you have the skill of being able to talk to various people, you could really get into this, is to hold inventory for a company or to take on the rights to sell a certain company in India or in your demography, right? Let's take a look at these on the right side. The Edge Taper Platinum, a senior of mine from Bombay, a very close friend of mine, has actually started this and has named it and has marketed it. And he has put his heart and soul into this. And this is one of the best file systems, out there. It's extremely economical. He went all the way to Mexico. He got the manufacturing sorted out. He bought the patents from the US. He got the manufacturing done. And now, while he's sleeping, people are ordering his files all across India. And he's probably making more money doing this than doing his specialized endodontics as well as his wife's orthodontic practice. So Edge Taper is an example of how that can work. CSM Implant is another example brought in by Dr. Dhruv. CSM Implants is selling like, I think more than, I don't know the numbers, but at least 10 to 15,000 implants a year, maybe even double that. So, there's a huge amount of traction, a lot of passive income coming in. What they need to do and what you need to do if you get into this kind of thing is to hold regular programs, get involved with a little bit of education. It's just like running any other kind of education business, but there's a lot of money to be made because these are things that get consumed and are regularly ordered again and again. And these are industries that are set to boom in the future. Another example is Artisan. It's an absolutely phenomenal Indian manufactured implant. And, I've already done maybe around 30, 35 of them. And I'm having a lot of fun with Artisan. Sorry. It's an active implant. It's very relaxed. Excellent tissue profiles are being found even in anterior cases. So, the person who's taken it on has done an amazing job of marketing it and promoting it. And iFix, another Manipal senior of mine, introduced that in India. That did well for a while, and then I think he, passed it on to somebody else. So basically, other popular avenues apart from this implants market, which obviously, as you can see, is my favorite, is gloves. Gloves manufacturing, distribution, consumables like Denmax, the brand, Enrontic files, which you've talked about, implants. Optionally, if you are a genius or if you have that kind of time, what you could do is, you could, file for your own patent. You could directly purchase a patent and start a manufacturing from scratch. But if you want to get into product distribution, what you need to be able to do is take advantage of your network, pivot your reputation, and make partners with people whose reputation helps sell the product. Because at the end of the day, you have to understand why you're doing all of this is one thing. It is to create value for other people and to create wealth for yourself. And by wealth, I don't just mean monetary wealth. I mean all of those four things that we talked about. Affordability, being able to do what you want to, when you want to, and be in control of your time. Right? So as we wrap this down, I'm just going to quickly fire off a couple of interesting ideas. You could start a coaching institute. There's a lot of demand for help getting into MDS. So if you've been a superstar student, or if you have well-compiled notes, or if you have the knack of being able to teach, set up a small coaching institute. Even if you have like 10, 15 people paying you a couple of thousand rupees for being available to them to solve their problems and solve their questions, it could be a very small side hustle that could get you a little bit of passive income. You could start a clinical coaching academy. We see a lot of them here and there, and dentists have understood this many years back, that it's really better to learn something and then get into practice rather than to get into practice and then practice on your patients, if you understand the difference. Another option, if you have like around 2-3 crores, is you could start a dental lab. A lot of potential there, a lot of competition there, but it's an option. You could invest in a patent. That's another very trending thing to do. But again, these are things that you could do if you had a slightly higher, risk-taking appetite, and as well as motivation to be able to take something from a patent stage all the way to a market stage. You could start an NGO that makes the world a better place. Now, this is something that we've been toying with a couple of people that we know. Just an NGO that goes out there and helps people feel good about themselves by, conducting workshops and conducting camps for poor people and just making the world a better place. You could start importing dental equipment, like eroters are always in short supply. Good quality eroters practically don't exist in India. So okay, don't take me officially on that. They do. I do speak for Kavo as well, but they're very expensive, and there's a lot of potential in that. You could buy a 3D scanner and put it on rent. That's another very cool business model that I've seen happening here and there. People will buy a 3D scanner, they'll use it for their own clinic, and then apart from their own clinic, they'll make it available for rent, and they'll charge people 2,000 to 5,000 bucks, for it. And that's one way of doing it. And one of the things that we are working on right now is creating an AI for AI-based diagnostics. So if you want to get into those kind of things, then we'll have to cover them in a different lecture. And if you need any help getting started, then we actually offer startups help. If you have an interesting and an exciting idea, or even the motivation to do something, we help you get placed. We help you, understand the nuances of your industry, see how you can be profitable and how you can't be profitable. Basically, we incubate startups as well. For now, you can get in touch with me on LinkedIn or on email. You can just save this, and I think Sir can share these details across later, and you'll find them useful. Setting an example. Now, it might sound like, who's this guy? He just come and talked about all of these things. So let me tell you about something that we actually did, right? So in March, we knew that there's going to be a lockdown and all of that. and we had been involved with cryptocurrencies for a long time. So what we ended up doing is we looked at the industry, we looked at how we could help people out, and we had people come up to us say, hey, listen, you have so many years of experience. Why don't you help us invest in cryptocurrencies? So I said, okay, I will help you get rich and make a lot of money. And I will go in and learn the technical chart patterns, understand the fundamentals, do all of these chartings and things like that. So my brother started this beautiful page called Smart Chart Art on Twitter. Please check it out. And we started this initiative called Coin Gurukul. Now, when we started it, it was just us, and we had like $3,000-$4,000, a very small amount of money. Within 15-20 days, we were able to scale that up to almost $55,000 of investment, and we were investing it here and there, and we did it. Like, we've been doing that. So it's not that you just have to hypothesize about things, or you should not think that because you're a dentist, you're trapped in this loop of just dentistry and all you know is periodontal ligament and teeth. No, there is a lot of potential out there. Use your mind to go out there and, pick on what is useful, what is there right now, what is available, and there is absolutely no reason why you can't set up something that's way out of your field. If I can just comment on it, there is a junior of mine, Utsav Jaiswal. The guy has gone ahead and he's heading business acquisitions for an AI and a blockchain firm. So it's not just me. There are plenty of people doing it. There are plenty of entrepreneurs here and there. So there's no reason why just because you chose dentistry in 12th that you should be limited by that decision ever, right? I don't want to comment on how our education system and all of that is, but our education system does not teach us a couple of things. And number one is the rules of wealth. And number two, it does not teach us that sometimes it is okay to cut our losses and move on and to do something, even though we feel like we had committed to something earlier, it is okay to move on further. So I'm going to just drop on you my 3 rules of wealth. Number one, you must learn to assign value to time. It is the only resource that actually matters. If you have a 32-year-old girl that works 1 crore, that has 1 crore in her bank and works 10 hours a day, and another girl who has only 50 lakh in her bank but works 4 hours a day, who do you think is richer? It might be a no-brainer, but trust me, it is the second one. Because the first one is never going to be able to figure out passive income. She's not going to have the time to enjoy herself. She's not going to be able to do anything that she wanted. She's going to compromise her family, her friends, her puppy, whatever, right? So what you need to do is try and figure out ways in which you can go to clinic and you can spend the amount of time that you want to and reduce the amount of time that you need to, right? Second, rule of wealth is to push the needle every day, right? Take one small step every single day. Even if I had started writing 1 blog a week in 2019, I would have over 100 blogs today. And trust me, if you have 100 blogs, you have at least 5,000 subscribers. There's no 2 ways about it. So if you have 5,000 subscribers, you can already, just through Google Ads, be making 10 or 20,000 rupees a month. So it's only your fault and only my fault for not having already done it. So if you are going to plan out something that, okay, I want to do this, like for example, I'll just give you a simple example. I'm a guitarist, right? So I play a lot of guitar. So what ends up happening is if I decide to record 1 song a month, right? If I had just committed to that I'm going to play and record 1 song a month, I've been playing guitar for like 12 years. I would have had, what, almost 144 songs. That's crazy, right? So when we're talking about Bob Dylan having done 5,000 songs, it's not surprising. It's just he kept to it. He said, I'm going to make 1 a week. And then he had a 35-year career. Just do the math, right? So stop making billionaires richer. Don't spend more money on Netflix and more time on Netflix and more time on Instagram. You are helping others do what you should be doing. So push the needle every single day. And if you've not had a productive day, that's fine. Just give 2 minutes to your passive income source and you will never regret it. Okay, she's giving the wealth to Netflix. Okay, and don't become a one-woman or a one-man army. The whole point is learn to replace yourself. We get trapped in our own ego. And this is an unconventional, third rule of wealth. Usually people would have something like save or like, try not to enjoy and save and all of that. But the reason why I put this is that Your purpose should not be to run two jobs. The purpose is not that you are going to work 12 hours a day because you want to be wealthy. The whole purpose is that you need to create an automated system in which you do less than 20% of the work. That is the dream. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be able to do it straight away. I'm not even saying that I've managed to do it. I haven't. I'd have a lot more hair if I'd managed to be more relaxed. I do work super, super hard. But the whole point is that ideally, what you need to do is be able to set up an automated system that lets you work less and have other people that work with you and for you. And what you need to do is learn that automation. That is also one of the things that we discussed in our incubation fund. Reach out on Instagram or on email, and I'll shoot you guys a couple of common emails about how you can make that happen. Another thing I just want to touch on is that usually people would be like, save, 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 don't spend, spend, spend. I totally disagree with that. If you worked hard, spend it. If it comes from within that this is something that you want to do not compromise on that. The whole reason that we are working hard is so that we can buy stuff, do stuff, and be in control of what we want, right? So go ahead and do it. All right. Now I'm going to summarize all of this with just pictorial images. Dentistry may be your bread and butter, but what you need to do is to open your mind to new ideas. You need to create a passive source of income that attracts money to you. And when you're there, you need to be conscientious about it. You need to know how to spend it and understand that time, family, friends, relations, and health are often more important than money. I hope you guys have had an interesting. Oh, yes. And also, I wanted to tell you what you should be reading. Okay. Now, I've gotten to where I have. It's not like it's a very great place. I've not made it really big yet, but through a couple of things that I'll recommend is number one, alux.com. Now, this is a podcast and it is a YouTube video. It is a YouTube channel. I'll highly recommend that you follow Alux. They have absolutely transformed my thinking over the last so many years. And basically, it is a place for future billionaires. And I highly recommend that you check it out. Check out the book, The 4-Hour Work Week. This is one of the books where my entire journey started. The 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. It helps you escape the concept of this fixed concept of how you need to work because it is defined by our elders and by society. Break out of the norm and read the 4-Hour Work Week. This is probably my favorite amongst all of these, is 0 to 1. Notes on Startups and How to Build the Future by Peter Thiel. For those of you that don't know, Peter Thiel was the partner of Elon Musk in PayPal. And Peter Thiel is also a billionaire, and he's just a little bit short of Elon Musk's wealth because he set up a deep data, firm that was actually responsible for the capture of Osama bin Laden and all of these kind of things. Extremely cool guy. You must read the book, and it's a very short book. You could probably read it off in like 2 nights. I read it off in like 2 flights there and back, and I finished off the book. And then you should also check out The Rules of Wealth by Richard Templar. It's a bit long, but it's compiled into like a single page per rule. So you can just read it every night before sleeping. I highly recommend that. Life is about perspective, right? Both of these are phones. Both of these are success. Both of these do what they need to, right? Just like you, it's just like your career, but you get to choose which you get to be, right? I'm a dentist, and the other guy next door is also a dentist. But are we equivalent? Are we the same dentist? Are we looking at dentistry and the world and life in the same way like these two phones are? Maybe not, but you get to choose which one you are. All right. So, there might be 1001 ideas out there, and don't get burdened by all of these options and everything. What you need to do is figure out what works for you, and we are happy to help. Also, thank you so much to Group Pharma for setting this up, and more importantly, for that extremely nice introduction. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. With my parting words, I'd just like to say that you need to be a wise man that learns not just from your mistakes, but also from others' mistakes. I hope you have a nice day, and I hope you've enjoyed this lecture.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Shrey. It was a stroke of genius. They say that an entrepreneurship should be full of ideas. From A to Z, your entire presentation was only bubbling with ideas and energy. Awesome. Fantastic. I will take only 2 questions which are here in front of me. The first is, Doctor, which platform do you recommend to a dentist with respect to starting a blog or a newsletter or a podcast, because there are people who can't figure those things out. So that's the point.
Right. Okay. So that's a good question. It really depends on who and what you are targeting with your blog. If you are looking at, when you start a blog, right, you should look at the end first. Like, what are you planning to achieve at the end of your blog? Are you planning to achieve a blog that that just develops lots and lots of readers, and then you're going to put ads there, or are you eventually going to have a sponsored platform on that blog? Are you eventually going to start selling something? In the case that you are going to be having Google ads there and you're going to be selling something, and it's going to be an indirect blog, like it's not what the blog is actually saying, but it's because people come there that you make money. In that case, definitely use WordPress. Get a professional blog made by WordPress. Some engineers or some software company, they will take you like 30, 35,000 maximum, and if somebody's charging you more than that, then you just get in touch with me. I have my tech team that will do it for less. So start a blog like that. Get some basic functionalities on there. Make sure you have the option for a payment gateway. If tomorrow, Mr. Anil is going to say, hey, can you retail, fresh floor mouthwash on your blog? You should already have a payment gateway in place. So for that, I will highly recommend something like this. If you have a blog that is directly promoting a company that you own, let us say I am promoting, some implant company, or if I'm promoting, like these headphones. So in that case, I already have a product and I just want to increase the kind of loyalty about this product. In that case, the simple best platform that you should consider is medium.com. Medium.com is absolutely trending. It's basically the Facebook of blogging. So I'll recommend medium.com for if you already have a brand. But if you're planning to set up like a company or something like that, then I'll recommend that you go with WordPress.
Truly in-depth answers you give, right up to the nitty-gritties. Just that last question was, if a person wants to start his own dental podcast. So
Yes.
if he wants to do that podcasting, of course, he may have his audience like the budding BDS or MDS students. That's what I
Yeah.
think, because this gentleman is in the teaching profession, as I know.
Right.
So if
Right.
he wants to start his podcast, he's purely into academics. So now, what do you suggest to him? Which medium? I mean, it's like free advice, but I guess it will do him
Right.
good.
No. So if you are starting like a podcast, and if it's like an educational podcast and something like that, see, what happens is you have to differentiate a podcast from an audio delivery. Like, let us say you're conducting a lecture, then you could easily do it on YouTube, where instead of having like a video, you could have like slides. So that would be best done on YouTube. But if you are planning to have like something paid altogether, then the best platform right now is actually a platform called Class Plus. You might want to write it down. It's called Class Plus. And what Class Plus does is it gives you an entire virtual classroom for the price of, I think, $2 per month. And to be honest, I can't even believe that they give something at that price, because I don't know, $2 is like 120 rupees or something. I can't buy anything in 120 rupees, right? But so Class Plus is an amazing app for hosting lectures like that. Otherwise, if you're doing a pure audio podcast, then you will have to be on all the platforms, right? Because a podcast does not work in a way where you just have one source. You will have to have your podcast hosted on Google, on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, and everything. So the question is a really good question, but it's also like understanding what content you're creating. If you're educating people, then it should be on your own platform, so that everybody that wants a piece of you comes to you. But if your value that you're putting out is like for example, if I am talking about dental startups and I want that more companies like Group Pharma approach me, then what I should do is start a podcast and put it on all the possible channels, so that when a company approaches me, they're like, hey, listen, if Dr. Shrey talks about our product, then it'll have 5 channels that it'll be present on, just because his podcast gets published on 5 channels. So you understand the differentiation. One is, I hope that answers the question. I hope it wasn't too complex in explanation.
Yes.
It was a complex question.
Yes, it was a appropriate question, because he wanted
good
that
question.
advice from you, since you are hands-on into this. The last
Yeah.
third question, sir, because there are certain laws with respect to how much you can speak on a product. Like talking as a KOL to a dentist audience is one thing that is acceptable, that is okay. But there are certain laws as to how medical practitioners or registered medical practitioners, doctors can talk about a product. So, what's your take on that? What's your advice on that?
Um, it's an American thing, okay? If I can say this, I mean, I understand this is a very official platform, but see, what happens is that nobody is planning to make a movie on a mouthwash, right? Nobody is planning to do anything like that. At the end of the day, the person is just telling you the good and the bad, or the good and the utility of a certain product. We are not trying to actually advertise the consumption of like $6.50 versus Crocin, right? We are not doing that. We are merely talking about the concept of a certain product. Like for example, like I'll give you an example, okay? And this is again, this is not specific to group pharma. This is just because I really like the chemical chlorine dioxide and how it differentiates from chlorhexidine. So now, if I take a half-an-hour lecture on why chlorine dioxide is directly 100 times better than chlorhexidine in clinical practice, I can't be criticized for it at all, because that's a very scientific discussion. And a 30-minute discussion would be nothing. I've had 10-hour discussions with my prosthodontist and my implantologist that your chlorhexidine is doing a lot more damage than than good. So if you talk about it that way, then it's not a problem. So I don't think that a person should not talk about a product because of the legal aspect of it, right? But let's face it, it's not like the competitor is going to sue that person who's got like some 100 followers or 700 followers. I mean, GSK, Cipla, big companies don't have the time to get involved with individual litigation like that. Definitely, if it's like a sponsor, like an attack, like what Dove and Sebamed, I'm not sure if you followed the news on that, where Sebamed actually put up this soap for acne, and they put that was really funny. I don't know if you guys followed it. They put up these big posters on the highway saying that the pH of Dove is more acidic than they claim, and the pH of Sebamed is actually neutral, and it became a full-on corporate war. Now that is totally different. So we are not getting into that league at all. Like that hoarding itself was like 75 lakhs a month. So we are not in that league. But if you are going to just talk about a certain product, like a certain kind of floss, and why a waxed minted floss is actually better, or why choline salicylate is better than using lignocaine, Annabelle versus Dologel, or whatever it is. So I mean, those are fair discussions to have, and I don't think there's anything wrong with
Yes.
that.
So you emphasize it should rather be scientific and generic rather
Yes,
than more of brand orientation to avoid
absolutely.
any legal pitfalls.
Yeah, unnecessary
Very,
legal pitfalls.
very,
Yeah.
yeah, very, very last question. This you have to take. I can't avoid that. The very
Sure.
last question is, uh, how has Manipal helped you? I think that gentleman is from that boy must be from Manipal. Yes.
Okay. So, see, there is, I love that question, frankly. Thank you. See, what happened is that in my journey in Manipal, right, while I was there, they instituted, I mean, I had nothing to do with instituting it, but Ramdas Pai and these people, they set up a fund called the MUTBI Fund, which was the Manipal University Technology Business Incubator Fund, right? And these guys came to us when we were in our second year, and they were like, guys, go out there and invent something, and we'll market it. And it just opened my mind to like, wait, you're right. Like, who invents stuff, right? We invent stuff. We are doctors. Like, we are people who are studying to become doctors. We invent stuff. So, sorry, my puppy is just over here now. So, we invent stuff. So, that kind of like opened my mind totally, right? It started that journey. And the beautiful thing about Manipal, like if somebody is planning to join there or something, is that being a private institute that is so open-minded, about whatever pursuit you want. Like I did stem cell research in Manipal despite being a dentist, and I did not get criticized for it. They let me do it. Imagine doing that in any government college. No offense, but people will tell you, okay, stick to what you know, stick to what you're good at. And the difference with Manipal is like, hey, listen, you don't know what you're good at. You're here to learn what you're good at. The purpose of education is not to tell you what to do. but tell you to understand how you should do something if you want to do something. That's the whole point, right? the, yeah, so the purpose of Manipal is to teach you technique, not to teach you the answer. And that is how I go about education now as well, with GoXP and with other platforms like that. So Manipal has had a huge pivotal role. I was actually there for New Year's last year, like it's June now. I was there in Jan for New Year's, just to pay homage to all those people that were responsible for our success. My better half is also from Manipal, so of course we went there for, like, you know, romantic walk through memory lane.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What's that GoXP doing?
So GoXP is basically a clinical platform where we are providing, like, to make you practice ready, right? So that if you want to get into implants, it'll help you actually introduce implants into your practice. It'll talk about everything from the economics of implants to how you choose an implant system, to how you should talk to your patients, to actually the scientific concept of the surgical technique and restorative technique. Just the entire spectrum. So that is a slightly different take. And the interesting thing is it's completely online. So we are
So,
after COVID, we are getting back into the offline aspect where we're providing courses and stuff like that.
so GoXP has a payment plan. Like, do you pay per month
Yes,
basis or per
yes.
course
People
basis?
per course basis.
Per course basis.
Yeah,
Okay,
per
that's
course
because
basis. You can,
dentists are asking about GoXP. I'm
yeah,
sure
yeah,
many
yeah,
of them would be knowing. So they can
yeah.
download it from the Google Play Store, right?
Yes, Google Play Store or Apple Play Store. Actually, they can go to the website, goxpapp.com, and
Yes.
it's available there. You can just click on the link and it'll download on your phone.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
perfect. So I
yeah.
think we have taken many questions, and let
Happy to
me
answer.
say that all the viewers were virtually transfixed with your talk, because
Thank you,
right
sir.
from the word go, it was just idea, idea, idea. And Group Pharmaceuticals has got very good engagement with all dental colleges, including Manipal College of Dentistry, that Manipal
Sure.
Dental College also. We are having good relations with them also.
Great,
So thank
great.
you very much, Dr. Shrey. If you have
Absolutely
any
welcome, sir.
last words to say to any last closing words for this webinar to the attendees, then we will close.
Basically, the only thing I'd want to say, like, don't let, there are well wishers out there. We are in an Indian community and an Indian society, and pretty much all our elders and our seniors and our partners and our teachers, they're all well wishers. Okay, they want what's good for us. They think that they know what is good for you, and that's fine. 9 out of 10 times they do. But don't let every decision that you make be governed by just that. Otherwise, you are never going to stand out. You cannot develop a solution to a new problem by thinking of an older method of thinking, right? If you are going to outperform, then you need to understand that there are going to be things that other people don't like to hear, and there is always going to be, aspects that you will need to grow upon and want to spend time and money on, that other people are going to discourage you from. But that shouldn't discourage you at all. And the number one thing to remember in life is to live a life worth remembering.
Awesome. So I take your permission to close the webinar, sir. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.